If you like true horror stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Lila Dawson was perfect. At 25 years old, she was the town's golden girl. Long blonde hair cascading down her back, piercing green eyes that sparkled like emeralds. Her soft smile could calm even the most restless heart. Everyone in Black Hollow adored her, perhaps a little too much. She was crowned homecoming queen, the star of every town event. People whispered that her beauty was almost unnatural, too perfect, like a gift from something dark. But there was something beneath that perfect smile, something Lila didn't dare to speak about. In the nights leading up to the red moon, the dreams would come. Blood and fire, dark figures standing at the foot of her bed, whispers curling in her ears. Because in Black Hollow, beauty came with a price. The town was picturesque, a small quiet place tucked away in the foggy woods of Maine. But it carried a dark history, a curse. Every 150 years, the red moon would rise over Black Hollow, bathing the town in crimson light. And each time it appeared, blood was spilled. On the day of the Red Moon Festival, the town gathered in the square to crown Lila the Red Moon Queen, a tradition passed down for generations. Lila smiled as they placed the blood-red crown on her head. But as the red moon rose over the town, a strange chill crept through the air. Later that night, Lila woke up in the woods, barefoot, her white dress torn and stained with blood, her hands trembling as she stared at the body of her high school rival hanging from a tree. A strange symbol was carved into her chest. Lila stumbled back, choking on a scream. More bodies began to appear in the following days. Classmates, teachers, even the town sheriff, each one marked with the same carved symbol. Lila began blacking out more often, waking up with scratches and bruises she couldn't explain. Her father, Mayor Dawson, grew distant, cold, and the whispers grew louder. In the depths of the mansion, behind a locked door, Lila discovered a box of old journals and hidden letters. Faded ink on yellowed paper told the truth. Her family had made a pact centuries ago with a demon under the red moon. In exchange for prosperity, the Dawson bloodline would offer a blood sacrifice during each red moon, and Lila was the last heir. She tried to fight it, but the demon's voice grew stronger. Its power made her feel invincible. The fear in the eyes of her classmates thrilled her. The sound of their screams awakened something dark inside her. A hunger. Her best friend, Emily Parker, was the first to notice the change. Emily, strikingly beautiful with long chestnut brown hair and piercing blue eyes, confronted Lila in the woods one night. "This isn't you," Emily said, tears in her eyes. "Fight it." Lila's hands trembled as Emily reached for her, but the demon's voice curled in her mind. "She's a threat." Lila's body moved on its own, a flash of red. Emily's scream cut through the night. Lila stood over Emily's lifeless body, her breath ragged. Her green eyes glowed red beneath the crimson moonlight. On the final night of the red moon, Lila uncovered the last horrifying truth. Her father had been protecting the demon presence all along. It was his blood that sealed the pact, and only his blood could break it. Her father knelt before her in the town square, tears running down his face. "Lila, please." The demon screamed in her head. Her hands shook as she raised the knife. "Do it," the voice growled. "Finish it." Lila's green eyes met her father's. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I'm sorry, Dad." The knife plunged deep. Her father gasped, blood blooming across his chest. The red moon pulsed violently in the sky, and then it dimmed. Lila collapsed to the ground, her trembling hands stained with her father's blood. The townspeople stared in stunned silence. The red moon faded from the sky, the demon's whispers gone. Lila survived. But as she stood before the mirror in her room days later, her reflection didn't smile back. Her green eyes glowed faintly red, and then the reflection smiled, because some curses never truly fade. Emily had always been cautious online. She never shared her location, never accepted random friend requests, and kept her accounts private. But none of that mattered, because someone was already watching. It started on a quiet Thursday night. She was lying in bed scrolling through her phone when a Snapchat notification popped up. A new message from an unknown account. "Hey." She ignored it, or probably a bot. A few hours passed. Another notification. This time it wasn't a message. It was a snap. Curious, she opened it. Her breath caught in her throat. The photo was dark and slightly blurry, but it was unmistakable. It was her, sitting in bed. She whipped her head toward the window. Was someone outside? The curtains were closed. The door is locked. Her stomach twisted. She checked the sender's profile. No Bitmoji, no username, nothing. Hands shaking, she typed, "Who is this?" No response. And then, just like that, the account disappeared. Emily wanted to believe it was a glitch, but deep down, she knew better. The next night, she nearly convinced herself it was nothing. Then, at 2:47 a.m., her phone buzzed again. Another snap. This one was clearer. Her, lying in bed. Emily bolted upright, her pulse hammering. She scanned the room, checked the locks, the windows. Everything was shut. She felt sick. Someone had taken that picture. She covered her webcam, disabled location services, and deleted Snapchat. For a while, everything was fine. Then, days later, her phone buzzed. Another notification. A new snap. She hadn't reinstalled the app. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The image was nearly pitch black, flash barely illuminating anything, and then she saw it. A photo from inside her closet. Her breath hitched. She turned, slowly, toward the closet door. It was shut, but she knew she had left it open. She stood frozen, heart hammering in her chest. With slow, shaky steps, she reached for the handle. She yanked it open. Nothing, just clothes, boxes, empty space. But suddenly, the air felt wrong, like she wasn't alone. A faint scent lingered, something damp, almost metallic. Her hands shook as she backed away. She grabbed her keys and fled, driving straight to her friend's house. The police found no forced entry, no signs of tampering. One officer suggested, maybe it's a prank? Emily knew better. That night, she refused to sleep. Instead, she set up her laptop camera, aimed at her bed, left it recording. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, at exactly 3:04 a.m., her closet door slowly cracked open. A shadow stepped out. It moved silently, standing inches from her bed. Watching, it lingered there, motionless, for nearly a full minute. Then it lifted a phone. The flash went off. Emily stirred but didn't wake. And just before the footage cut out, the figure turned toward the camera and smiled. But there was something wrong with its face. The mouth stretched too wide, the eyes too hollow, like it wasn't entirely human. Emily never went back to that apartment. She moved across the country, deleted all social media, changed her number. For weeks, she lived in fear, but nothing happened. Until one day, Her best friend texted her, "Hey, why did you add me on Snapchat again?" Emily's hands went cold. She hadn't made a new account. Then her phone buzzed. Another notification, a new snap from Watching You.
She knew this was the end. Her hands trembled as she gripped the ritual dagger, tears mixing with the blood on her face. The tantric spirit was growing stronger. Priya was lying on the ground, convulsing, her mouth foaming, her eyes rolling back into her head. The Oja was screaming, chanting mantras, but it wasn't working. Priya's mother whispered, "I'm sorry, beta." She plunged the dagger into her chest. Blood spilled from her mouth as the world faded into darkness. It all started when Priya's family moved into an old Goan villa. The house was stunning, Portuguese architecture, high ceilings, and a strange ancient charm. Priya's father had gotten a job transfer to Goa, and the house was available for a suspiciously low price. But the locals avoided it. Some crossed themselves when they passed by. Others whispered that the house was cursed. "Why is everyone so scared of this place?" Priya had asked her mother. Her mother smiled faintly. "They're just superstitious." Priya was curious. She wandered through the old halls, running her hand along the cool walls. That's when she found it. Under a dusty carpet in the hallway, she discovered a trapdoor. Priya's voice was soft. "What's this?" She descended into a dark, candlelit underground chamber. The chamber was cold and damp. Strange symbols covered the walls. Old wooden shelves held blackened dolls, bones, and strange objects. In the center of the room lay an ancient brass locket. Priya picked it up. A cold breeze blew through the room. That's when it started. Priya started having nightmares. She woke up with bruises on her arms, bruises shaped like handprints. Then, she started hearing the anklets. At night, she would hear them echoing through the house. Gangroos, moving closer and closer. And then, the shadow. It would flicker across the walls under the moonlight. Priya's mother grew worried. "Are you okay, beta?" "I keep hearing something," Priya whispered. "Someone's walking around the house at night." Her mother's face darkened. Priya's mother went to an old village woman for answers. The woman's voice was low and grave. The house belonged to a powerful tantric. He was killed during a failed ritual. Now he wants a new vessel. Priya's mother's breath quickened. "What can we do?" "You need to leave," the woman said. Priya's mother gripped the woman's hand. "Please, help me." The woman's eyes softened. "You'll need an Oja." The Oja arrived the next night. Priya was sitting on the floor, the locket around her neck. Her face was pale, her eyes dark. The Oja's voice was strong and commanding. "Priya, open your eyes." Priya's eyes snapped open, but it wasn't Priya anymore. Priya's voice turned deep and distorted. "She's mine now." The Oja stepped forward, holding out a copper pot filled with holy water. He began chanting mantras. Priya laughed, a guttural, twisted sound. "You think you can save her?" The Oja threw the water toward Priya. She screamed, thrashing violently. The Oja shouted, "He wants a sacrifice." Priya's mother stood frozen, tears in her eyes. "No. He won't leave unless he's given blood," the Oja said. Priya's mother's hands trembled. "I can't." "You must." Priya's possessed body writhed on the floor. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide. A dark shadow hovered above her. Her mother knelt before her, clutching the dagger. Priya's mother's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, beta." She plunged the dagger into her chest. The tantric spirit screamed. Priya's body went limp. The room fell silent. Priya opened her eyes and saw her mother's body lying in a pool of blood. "Ma!" Priya crawled toward her mother, her hands shaking. "Ma, please wake up." Priya was saved, but the cost was unbearable.
Have you ever checked into a hotel, only to feel like you were never really alone? That no matter how many times you turned on the lights, how many times you locked the door, something or someone was watching. That's exactly what happened to me when I stayed at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in Mumbai, one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. But beneath its elegance lies a chilling legend, one that I experienced firsthand. And after what I saw, what I felt, I'll never step foot inside that hotel again. I had just landed in Mumbai on a solo trip. I was exhausted, jet-lagged, and just wanted to sleep. My taxi pulled up to the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, and I was in awe. The towering architecture, the golden lights reflecting off the pavement. It was like something out of a dream. A bellhop greeted me with a polite smile, but something about his eyes, they were distant, almost like he knew something I didn't. As I walked into the grand lobby, I felt it. That feeling, that strange creeping sensation of being watched. I shook it off. It was probably just my imagination, or so I thought. I was given room 302, a stunning suite with vintage decor, high ceilings, and a massive antique mirror hanging above a wooden dresser. It was the kind of room that felt frozen in time. The first night was uneventful at first. I showered, got into bed, and turned off the lights. But just as I started drifting off, it happened. A noise, not loud, just a whisper. I froze. Was someone in my room? I reached for my phone and turned on the flashlight, scanning the room. Nothing. Just as I was about to roll over, my eyes landed on the mirror, and my blood ran cold, because in the dim glow of my phone, I saw him, an elderly man, dressed in colonial-era clothing, standing in the mirror's reflection, staring at me. My heart slammed against my ribs. I spun around. No one was there. I snapped my head back to the mirror. He was gone. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I asked the front desk if anyone had ever reported strange occurrences in room 302. The receptionist hesitated. Then, in a hushed voice, she said, "You should speak to housekeeping." That's when I met Priya, an older woman who had been working at the hotel for over 20 years. She was hesitant to talk, but when I pressed her, she sighed and finally whispered, "You saw him, didn't you?" I felt a shiver run down my spine. "Who?" I asked. "Mr. Chambers." That name meant nothing to me at the time, but Priya told me everything. Over 100 years ago, W.A. Chambers was the British architect behind the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. But when he returned from a trip abroad, he discovered that the hotel had been built facing the wrong direction. Devastated, humiliated, he went to the top floor and jumped to his death. They say his spirit never left. Housekeeping staff have reported strange occurrences for years. Whispers in empty hallways, the elevator stopping by itself on the top floor, and unseen hands tucking guests into bed at night. He doesn't mean harm, Priya told me, but he's always watching. I left our conversation feeling uneasy. Maybe it was all just superstition. But then, that night happened. I went to bed, leaving the bathroom light on, just in case. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up freezing. The air in my room felt different. And then I felt it. Something was pressing down on my blanket. Not harshly, not violently, just slowly, tucking me in. A cold shiver crawled up my spine. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream. And then, out of the corner of my eye, the mirror. He was there, the elderly man, standing just behind my reflection, looking right at me. Then, he whispered, "You should not be here." And the room went black. I woke up at sunrise. My bed was perfectly made. My bags were packed, as if someone had been preparing me to leave. I ran to the front desk, demanded to check out early. As I handed my key over, the receptionist sighed. "Another one?" she asked, softly. I just nodded. As I left the hotel, I turned back one last time and looked up at the top floor, and in the highest window, he was there, watching. Even now, as I tell this story, I feel like he's still with me. So if you ever stay at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, don't look in the mirror.